Cowboys football might be over, but that doesn't mean the fun stops over there at PrizePicks. The best way to play daily fantasy sports. Play PrizePicks throughout the entirety of the NFL playoffs. Or if you're interested in other sports like the NBA, NHL, whatever you like to watch when the Cowboys aren't playing, I can almost guarantee it, you can find it on PrizePicks. And for my followers, PrizePicks hooked you guys up with a deal. All you have to do is play $5 in lineups, and PrizePicks will give you $50 more to play with. Absolutely no strings attached. Download the PrizePicks app, use my code DoubleMove, and instantly get $50 in promo deposited right into your account. That way, you can make a couple lineups, see if you like the app. So if you want to go check it out, go to the link down below in the description and use my code DoubleMove. And when you play just $5 in lineups, you will get 50 more to play with. And thank you to PrizePicks for sponsoring today's video. The Cowboys are in big trouble. They have holes everywhere on their roster. And when I mean everywhere, I mean every single position you can look at on this team and say they need to address that in free agency or the NFL draft. They got to figure out something. Let's start with running back. I think that they need a running back 1, a running back 2, and a running back 3. They have 2 guys on their roster right now that are under contract when the new league year starts. That is Deuce Vaughn and Malik Davis. If that doesn't make you cringe, I don't know what does. That's because Rico Dowdle is a free agent, and we have no idea what his market's going to look like because he did end up becoming a 1,000-yard rusher. The Cowboys didn't use him for a good part of the beginning of the season. We have no idea what other teams are going to value him at. Other teams might have him higher and a more valuable player than the Cowboys do because they are not spending more than the league minimum based on what we've seen them do in free agency over the past couple of years. So if any team out there wants to give Rico Dowdle any type of money, I don't see him being around here in 2025. So going into the NFL draft with Deuce Vaughn and Malik Davis and then probably a 30-year-old free agent that signed for league minimum feels like the position that they were in 2024. I do think they need to dabble in free agency. There's not a lot of very good names. The 2 biggest names in the running back position in that group got signed last offseason, and that was Saquon Barkley, who rushed for 2,000 yards this year, and Derrick Henry, who rushed for 1,800 yards this year. There's not going to be any difference makers in free agency, but I would like to see them bring back Rico Dowdle. Now let's talk about the wide receiver room. I think Dallas needs to find a wide receiver 2 and a wide receiver 3 or 4. Brandon Cooks, his contract is expired. I don't expect the Cowboys to re-sign him. I don't really want them to, knowing that they have a need there. You have Jalen Tolbert on the roster right now, he's been okay, but you really need to upgrade. He cannot be your wide receiver 2. We've seen it. I think Tolbert would thrive more as a wide receiver 3, and you'd probably feel really good about your receiver room if he was wide receiver 4. You have Ryan Flournoy still on the roster, who was a 6th round pick last year, who is a 6th round pick. What can you really say? What can you really rely on? He didn't have a Puka Nacua type year, so we just say he's a 6th round pick and we move on until we learn otherwise. Then you have Jonathan Mingo, who the Cowboys traded a 4th round pick for this year. He caught all of like 6 passes in the last half of the season. Once again, another receiver and another name that you can't really rely on. Then you have Kevontae Turpin, who Dallas really never used as a wide receiver. He's a restricted free agent. I do expect him to be back, but in what kind of capacity with the wide receiver room? I don't know. I don't really expect a whole lot, but that's what Mike McCarthy calling plays. Maybe Dallas goes another direction at head coach, and that changes things, but for right now, I don't really count Turpin as a wide receiver. And then you have Jalen Brooks, who has played a good amount of games, but 7th round pick. I think we're starting to see a trend here because Jalen Cropper's the same way, undrafted free agent. He hasn't really played a whole lot. So that's pretty much the wide receiver room. It doesn't give me a whole lot of hope for next year. I think Dallas is going to have to address it more so in the draft, maybe get a name in free agency, maybe trade one of those 5th round picks like they did for Brandon Cooks a couple of years ago. But right now, I don't have a lot of confidence in that room, and the offense as a whole, and we're going to talk about the offensive line here in a minute, the offensive as a whole is very, very void of weapons. There's no one on this team that can break off big plays, big runs other than CeeDee Lamb. And then once teams start bracketing him, the offense gets real ugly real quick. So let's move on to the defensive side of the ball, and that's the defensive line. I mean, you have Micah Parsons, of course, a cornerstone piece. You have Mozzie Smith, who was a first rounder in 2023. But I mean, he played better over the course of this year. He definitely took a step forward. How much of a step can he take in 2025? Once again, a scary proposition to have to rely on for next year. Then you have Marshawn Nealand, who was a second-round pick last year. Good against the run. He wasn't a sack guy. He wasn't popping off the screen. You're going to need a big jump from him as well. And that's pretty much it. I can name a couple of other guys on the D-line that really wouldn't move the needle for anybody. Players that could be on their way out. DeMarcus Lawrence, Osa Odigizua, who's a free agent, Chauncey Golston, Linval Joseph, Carl Lawson. All of those guys are set to hit free agency. That's a group that is going to be absolutely depleted. And I think that takes it up a notch because they're already depleted and void of talent. So losing Osa, who was second to Micah in pressures and quarterback hurries and all that stuff, losing him would be horrible. Chauncey Golston was an impact player when Micah was down, DeMarcus Lawrence was out. Losing him would suck as well. He might be a $3 to $5 million APY player. Osa might be around, 10 or 11 million dollars per year on the open market. Do I see the Cowboys spending that kind of money? I don't know. If they're not willing to, guys, it's going to get bad really, really quick. It gets worse. Let's look at the cornerback room. Deron Bland is the only guy you can rely on in 2025, or the only guy that you would want to. After that, Trayvon Diggs, he had the knee injury. We have no idea about when he'll be back. We don't know anything about the knee injury. They're saying an 8-month recovery period. Cowboys love to lie about that, so it could be more like 12 months. That puts him coming back at the end of 2025. By that point, you're maybe 4-9. So is he even coming back in 2025? And that's why cornerback is a big, big need in free agency, in the draft. Then you have Jordan Lewis, who is a free agent, somebody that I really hope that Dallas will bring back. He's getting a little bit older, getting up there in age. He played probably the best of anybody on this defense behind Micah Parsons. I would 100% re-sign because you're gonna need him. Now let's move on to one that's just kind of funny. I put on here offensive coordinator. That's something that you need to address this offseason. Mike McCarthy on the staff or not, whether he's here or not, you got to find an offensive coordinator. Find someone else to design and call plays. Not Brian Schottenheimer, not Mike McCarthy. If Ben Johnson ends up becoming the head coach, which I don't have much hope in, let him call the plays. Mike McCarthy comes back as the head coach, which seems more reasonable as time goes on. Let someone else call plays. Dallas has got to get someone else in here. The offense has slowly trickled down as McCarthy has been the offensive coordinator. I don't trust Mike McCarthy going forward being the play caller. I don't have a lot of hope in this offense. It's stale. It's boring. Find an offensive coordinator. And then finally, and I promise it's not even the last position group that needs help. For this video, it is, and that's the offensive line. Right now, you got Tyler Guyton, Tyler Smith, Cooper Beebe, Terrence Steele. That's pretty much your cornerstone pieces, and I guarantee you a lot of people don't feel good about Tyler Guyton, and although he played better towards the back end of the season, a lot of people don't feel very good about Terrence Steele either. And that's where we are along the offensive line right now. I don't feel great about Tyler Guyton. Maybe he gets better. He just fell out of favor with his coaching staff throughout the year, injured or not, and he just couldn't play over future Hall of Famer Chuma Edoga. Okay, that was mean. With Zach Martin likely retiring, you're losing an all-pro who wasn't really an all-pro in 2024, but you're losing a high-caliber player. Once a high-caliber player, Chuma Edoga is a free agent. I would like for Dallas to bring him back as a swing tackle, a guy that has the flexibility to play guard or tackle. Just a backup offensive lineman. Now, I know I mentioned that was the last one, and we can go on, and I'm trying to keep this video as short as possible, but safety is going to be something that Dallas has to consider as well. Donovan Wilson, Malik Hooker, they're not free agents, but they do account for a portion of the Cowboys cap this year, so maybe they could end up being cap casualties. Donovan Wilson was shaky throughout the year, started to play better down the back half, but is that somebody that you want to give $7 million to? I don't really know. And then Malik Hooker, although solid, I do think you can get better play out of that position. And then, of course, you have linebacker, DeMarvion Overshown injured. Eric Kendricks is a free agent. That could be a dumpster fire as well. This team literally has holes everywhere. And if this isn't a offseason of free agent signing, and then a killer draft, it is going to be bad in 2025. I really don't believe that free agency and the draft has meant more for this franchise in a long, long time than 2025 does. They need to be perfect this offseason. I just named all of these weaknesses, all of these holes in this roster, and with how bad Dallas has been in free agency, they need to be excellent. So that's all I got for you guys today. You know, a little positivity on this beautiful day. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I love you all, and I'll see you next time.